Hey everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. So I'm coming to you with unemployment figures for last week. Every Thursday they're announced for the previous week, and I have to tell you, it's abysmal. The Labor Department reports that 884,000 Americans filed for first-time unemployment benefits last week. That's a slight increase over the previous week's filings, but what makes it horrific is that on top of that nearly 900,000 who filed for traditional unemployment benefits, there's an additional 838,916 Americans who also filed for first-time unemployment benefits under the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, or PUA for short. What PUA is, it's a program that was implemented for people who don't qualify for traditional benefits because they're not an employee, they're not a typical, or they're just not a typical W-2 employee. So the PUA program covers people such as independent contractors. So when you combine those figures, the true number of newly filed unemployment claims was almost 1.7 million just last week. That's just last week, almost 2 million Americans filing for first-time unemployment benefits. This thing is not getting better. The fact that the Trump administration is out there talking about how great our recovery is going would be laughable. It would be funny and almost comical if it didn't have such dire and in some cases life-threatening consequences for so many Americans. We have people who can't buy basic necessities. They can't afford to feed themselves or their families. People are being evicted left and right. Now this moratorium has been put on rentals, but what about homeowners? What about the people who own those properties? This is going to be unbelievably horrific if something doesn't change. Now, and to make matters worse, if that's even possible, 13.4 million additional Americans filed for continued unemployment benefits last week. So these were people who had already filed for the first time in the past, and now they're continuing those claims. So that's also an increase over the previous week. So even though things are opening back up, we clearly don't have jobs for these people. And our government is just stalled. It's like, they just came back from an almost month-long vacation, as if they have not a care in the freaking world. Because in their little DC bubble, everything's great. Everybody they know is rich. Everybody they know is invested in the stock market. And that didn't hit a speed bump until the last few days. So, and it's still high. So what do they give a damn? They continue to play these games and shortchange average Americans after they gave away trillions to their wealthy donors and Wall Street. They socialized Wall Street. People say they don't want to live in a socialist country. Oh, the socialists are taking over. You know who the socialists are? There are elected leaders. They're the establishment Republicans and Democrats who have no problem socializing Wall Street, who have no problem socializing the big banks and insurance companies. They have no problem with our money, our tax dollars going to those people to help them when they don't need it. And it's a fact that they don't need it because the wealthy have only gotten wealthier throughout this pandemic. They're not feeling it whatsoever. And then the meager $300 in additional unemployment benefits that Trump ordered that's just now starting. A lot of the states filed for it, but it took quite a while to implement it. because they had to make changes to their systems in order to get it out to people. So for many states, that's just starting, and it's about to end already because the money's going to run out. There were $44 billion set aside for this out of FEMA funds, out of FEMA disaster funds. And 30 billion of that 44 billion has already been spent and distributed. And when you take into consideration the damage that has been done by recent hurricanes, these horrific fires burning on the West Coast, the likes of which no one has ever witnessed before. These are historic fires that have killed people, that have destroyed untold amount of property and land. And you just have to wonder, how much more can people take? Plus, local governments are strapped for cash. And some are the largest employers in their state. So without federal government stepping in and offering financial aid to these states that are struggling, this may seem like the worst of it. It may seem like, oh yeah, this is as bad as it's going to get. It can only get better from here. No, this may in fact be the calm before the storm. We may be in the best of it right now. I mean, if they think that people are going to be out there spending money when so many are unemployed, they're out of their minds. That's why this top-down economic structure that they believe in, it doesn't work. It's a joke. Trickle-down economics has been proven to be false and a complete and utter disaster over and over and over again. Yet they keep trying to sell it to the American public. Why? Not because they believe it, but because it's the only way they can convince the masses that they have to bail out the banks. They have to bail out Wall Street. They have to bail out everybody at the top, or there won't be any jobs. Did it ever occur to anyone that if no one is spending money, if nobody is buying anything, that if the masses aren't buying anything and only the 1% have the ability to spend money right now, that companies are going to cease to exist? It's common sense. If you don't have customers, you don't have a business. And when people start getting freaked out about what's going on, where their next paycheck is going to come from, where their next meal is going to come from, whether or not they're going to have a roof over their head by the end of the month, they're not going to be out spending money. This is a disaster in every conceivable way. So, wish I had better news for you guys, but you got to get the truth from someone. And we're not getting it from our elected leaders right now. They're as much of a joke as the trickle-down economic theory. As always, like, share, subscribe. I will talk to you guys soon. Stay safe. I hope you guys are okay out there, and take care of yourself. Thanks for listening to Plants and Politics. The only way we can take our country and power back is to spread the truth and build an army. So remember to like, follow, subscribe, and share on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks again.